Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in less than 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. Thanks so much for listening. Today we are talking about Facebook ads, North Korea, and what's changing about our food labels. Plus a lawsuit against the NFL and much more, all in less than 10 minutes. I'm Erica Mandy. Today is Friday, September 22nd. You ready? Let's do this. More back and forth between President Trump and North Korea's leader. President Trump announced new sanctions. They basically mean that other countries and companies will have to choose to do business with the U.S. or North Korea, that it can't be both. But then Kim Jong-un responded. He called the president, quote, mentally deranged, and promised countermeasures. And the AP reports North Korea's foreign minister went a step further. He said his country may be planning to test a hydrogen bomb in the Pacific Ocean. Reminder, things have become more tense since North Korea's recent nuclear and missile tests. On Tuesday, President Trump even said he would, quote, totally destroy North Korea if he had to defend the U.S. The pressure apparently got to Facebook's CEO. After a couple weeks of not wanting to hand it all over, Mark Zuckerberg said he will now give Congress thousands of Facebook ads tied to Russia. Zuckerberg did a 7-minute live video to explain the decision. He also outlined new policies, like making political ads in general more transparent. He said he doesn't want anyone using Facebook to undermine democracy. Reminder, Facebook admitted there were hundreds of fake accounts tied to Russia that may have been used to influence the presidential election last year. A federal investigation then used a search warrant to get a hold of them, and then more people, like lawmakers, wanted to take a look. A couple updates for you now from Mexico after that big earthquake this week. First, a bizarre one. For the last couple of days, there's been a story of a student, a 12-year-old girl thought to be alive but buried in the rubble of a school that collapsed. The local media latched on to the story. Rescuers said they saw her wiggling her fingers, and it became this big thing. Well, The Guardian now reports that student may not exist, that all students in the school have either been confirmed dead or accounted for. Officials are now telling media it's likely no one else is really under the rubble of that school. The whole story is being called an embarrassment, and it's not exactly clear where it all started. In general, though, rescue efforts are focused on 10 collapsed buildings now, and the death toll did go up again to 274. Millions of people still don't have power. The New York Times has a list of where you can donate if you want to help. I'll put it in today's show notes. The White House has now declared both the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico disaster areas after Hurricane Maria. The president said he'll also be visiting Puerto Rico, but hasn't said when. The New York Times reports things are still hectic there right now. Flooding and rain are still a big concern, and millions likely won't have power for months. In all, Hurricane Maria is blamed for at least 18 deaths in the Caribbean. Turks and Caicos just got hit, and the Bahamas are likely next. The Weather Channel says as for the U.S. mainland, we can expect some high surf and rip currents on the East Coast this weekend, but nothing too severe. Former football player Aaron Hernandez apparently had a severe case of CTE, that brain disease found in many NFL players. And now USA Today reports his family is suing the NFL for $20 million. So let me back up a moment. Aaron Hernandez used to play for the New England Patriots. He was convicted of murder in 2015. Then earlier this year, he was found dead in a prison cell from an apparent suicide. Well, his family wanted his brain studied, and just yesterday, researchers released the results. They say his brain showed severe CTE and said it was one of the worst cases they've seen in someone his age. You might remember the movie called Concussion with Will Smith. That was all about CTE and its effects on the brain and even someone's behavior. All right, other things people may be talking about today. President Trump referred to a country that, well, doesn't exist. The BBC said he mentioned Namibia twice during a speech to African leaders in New York during the UN General Assembly. The problem is, Namibia isn't really a country. The president was likely referring to Namibia in southern Africa. The Washington Post says the White House did later clarify. Either way, some people had a little fun with it on Twitter. Others, though, praised the president's overall comments about the economic growth of Africa. For the first time ever, the Marine Corps plans to assign a woman to the Marine Infantry. The Washington Post says the training for that is considered some of the toughest in the military. About a quarter of the students don't make it through at all. So the last time we talked about Toys R Us, I told you the company filed for bankruptcy. Well, now Toys R Us is hiring. Yep, CNN Money reports Toys R Us plans to hire more than 10,000 part-time employees for the holiday season. And there may be even more help wanted later. Reminder, Toys R Us filed for bankruptcy Monday night, but that doesn't mean it's closing all of its stores. Instead, they'll keep some open and make changes, like adding play areas. So, one of the new jobs up for grabs right now? A toy demonstrator, to actually take the toy out of the box and let kids try it out in the store. The grocery store chain Albertsons just bought a company you may have seen on the show Shark Tank. The company is called Plated, and it's one of the largest meal kit businesses out there. You know, meal kits, where you get all the ingredients in a box and you can cook it yourself at home, but without all the extra shopping or prep time. Well, the Wall Street Journal says it's the first time a national grocery store chain has bought a meal kit company. The report says supermarkets are trying to deal with fewer people coming into their stores, and the popularity of meal kits is expected to grow. Soon, the labels on our food should be more consistent. You know how right now some food will say use by, other food will say sell by, and then you may wonder how long that particular food is really good for? Well, now NPR says hundreds of the largest food and retail brands have agreed to make it a bit clearer. They'll just put use by, and the hope is there's no more guesswork. Brands on board include Walmart, Nestle, Campbell Soup, and Amazon. And that's it. You are all caught up. As always, check out thenewsworthy.com for links to all the stories I mentioned today. Just click on today's show notes. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to this and rate and review. I so appreciate you listening and spreading the word. All right, have a great weekend. We'll talk again on Monday.